Okay, we're now recording. So welcome to the spring callout for the Autonomous Robotics Club of Purdue. This is the second and final callout that we're doing this semester. So this is the agenda for the presentation today. It's going to take about 10 to 15 minutes, as I mentioned earlier. And then at the end, we'll go into breakout rooms and you'll have the option to talk to some current members and ask them questions about the different projects. So first off, some introductions. So I'm the president of the club. My name is James. I'm a junior in mechanical engineering, and then I'm out of state from Pennsylvania. Harrison, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yep. Hey, everyone. I'm Harrison. I'm the vice president of the club. I'm a sophomore in computer science, and I'm from Indianapolis.
Okay, and then I think Peyton and Katja couldn't make it today, so we're just going to keep moving on. And you can see some of the robots that us on the leadership team have made. So hopefully that looks cool, I guess. So here's the purpose of the club. That's sort of the formal definition. But the short version is that we try to get Purdue students hands-on experience working with robots in a small group setting with an interdisciplinary team. And then rather than having one specific project, maybe like a design build and then type competition that happens every year, like a lot of other clubs do, we sort of take on multiple projects and then we listen to the members to figure out what those projects should be. So that's how we have those small groups, is we have multiple projects. And then also we're open to every single major. There are no dues, no prior experience required. We try to be a club that anyone with any interest in robotics can join, and they can do what they want to get that experience. So this is something from the fall semester, whenever we did our callouts. We had everybody fill out a Google form with the question, what are you hoping to get out of this club? And I think it's sort of interesting to see those responses. So that's them there. I kind of like that it's a mix of technical and non-technical terms. Like you can see robots or robotics, programming, hardware, those show up really big there. But you can also see their friends,
Learning.
Yeah, learning, people. Yeah, so there's sort of a mix, and fun, cool. So there's sort of like a mix of different reasons for why people want to join this club. And we really try to make that happen. So a quick note about the leadership structure. So at the top, there's the executive board. So we've got those 4 people that we mentioned earlier, Harrison and myself right now. And so we get picked through popular election at the end of each year. And then the big point there is just that we handle the budget and timelines for projects, not making them, but approving them. And then the project managers, that's literally anybody in the club. It can be someone who is just here today, could start a project for this semester if they wanted to. And as long as you get enough other people who are also interested in your idea for a project, you can totally just take on that leadership responsibility day one. And then the only thing that's required is if you want to spend any money, you need to get the budget and timeline approved from the executive board. But that's something we pride ourselves with, is having it really easy for someone to step in here and take a leadership opportunity. Harrison?
Talking a little bit about the COVID response for this year, as well as the meeting schedule. We're open to both remote and on-campus students, as we showed last semester. I believe a majority of us are in person, which is the same as last semester. But we still maintain our general meetings over Zoom despite that, being that, we are building robotics and that's the style of our projects. It does call for some in-person meetings when those are due. So, with your project groups and with your project managers, it'll be on you guys to schedule this out in advance and ensure we're following all the protocols set up by Purdue and helping and reduce the spread of COVID. General meetings, like I said, they're always going to be hosted over Zoom, and they're going to happen every Wednesday at 7 p.m. So this itself is a general meeting. And that's going to continue throughout the semester. Besides that, you also have individual project meetings, which, like I said, has flexibility, whether it's in person or online. Most of the time, and when I say most of the time, 90% of the time, it's going to be virtual and take place over Zoom. But when meetings are required to do like integration and test out physical parts, it's up to you guys to schedule that and ensure those in-person meetings happen. We also try to have virtual social events every month or so.
So I'm going to talk a little bit now about the onboarding project. So this is separate from the two project teams that I mentioned a little bit earlier. So this is a project that we put together over the summer. It's optional, but highly recommended. And it's just something, it's a self-paced tutorial that's hosted online. And the idea is to get you up and running with all of the tools that we use in the club. So specifically, we're looking at ROS, which is Robot Operating System. It's sort of the industry standard framework that people are using these days for robotics, both in the commercial industry as well as research. And then that works with C++ and Python. And in the club, we're using Python. So it also teaches you a bit of that, a bit of a refresher on that. And then it also works with Docker and Ubuntu. And maybe you've heard of those before. And then, like I said, this is hosted online and it's self-paced. So we don't have sort of like a dedicated class to take everybody through it. Like we're not going to be hosting classes over Zoom to sort of bring everyone through in a classroom style setting. But instead, we have a Slack channel dedicated for people asking questions. So at the end of the presentation, we'll give you a link to that. I think we'll share it in Slack actually. And you can just get started whenever you want. If you have any questions and you're like, I have no idea how to even approach this and get started, again, Slack is a great place to look for that. And if we have demand for it, we can set some other stuff up. And then Harrison, can you send the Slack link? I see someone's asking for it in the comments.
Yeah, let me send my copy pasta of all the link stuff.
Oh, and then here's just a quick picture of what the onboarding project actually looks like whenever you run it. Previously, I had the actual Snake game, and you can see the graphics aren't quite as nice in my ripoff Made in Pi game, but it works. So now we're going to introduce the two projects that are currently active this semester. And again, we can add more, but these are the ones we have going right now.
Yeah, talking about Rocket League. So this is one we started in the fall semester, and we're going to be, again, pursuing it throughout the spring semester. If you've ever heard of the game Rocket League, then you're probably already familiar with what we're essentially trying to accomplish here. What we're looking to do is we're looking to build autonomous agents capable of playing in a game of 3v3 soccer matches. And, we're looking to have these essentially high-speed remote-controlled cars around the size of like 5 to 7 inches, which introduce some fun problems that we're trying to solve. And currently, we're still abstracting the system out, but we've gotten to the point where we have a car that can somewhat accurately score balls within the field. So now we're looking at some of the high-level planning stuff and some of those challenges, which we think is pretty fun.
Okay, I'm going to move us on to, and again, you can ask questions about this project specifically after the presentation, because we'll split into those breakout rooms. And now I'm going to introduce Robot Arm, or I'm not going to introduce it, but I'll introduce Raghava, who will talk to you about it.
My name is Raghava Upuluri. I'm one of the project managers of Robot Arm, along with Sarah, who will be available to answer questions afterwards. And for Robot Arm, we also started in the fall, along with Rocket League. And we really, I guess, kind of got inspired by, if you've seen the Iron Man movies, I think it's called Dummy, the robot that, kind of helps him out in like the movies. And we're inspired by that, and I kind of like wondered, why don't we have a ton of those like everywhere? And why are they only in factories? And one of those problems is that, they aren't good at being able to be in scenarios where they, like in unknown scenarios, and wanted to figure out why, and kind of like look into, like, I guess, in depth, like what's the Robot Arms work? How do we kind of simplify something like this and want to also turn it into a learning resource as well for other students to kind of learn robotics, as we were all really new to ROS and robotics when we first started the project. So it seemed like a really good opportunity to really learn, how to, I guess, understand the theory of like different robotics scenarios, and then like convert it into something like applicable. So currently, I guess we're working on, I guess, the brains of it, the vision of it. So before, you can see in like the demo, we have kind of a robot arm, it moves, but we had to give it the positions of where the boxes are. So now we're looking to add a camera to it. And as you probably know, probably have heard of machine learning and AI, looking to apply that this upcoming semester.
As I mentioned earlier, so we have 2 projects going on currently. And since we've got sort of a large number of people here, it seems like we may end up getting some new ideas then. So this is sort of some stuff to think about if you have something in your head that you want to turn into a project here. We're not going to have a dedicated pitching and selection process like we did in the fall, just because we have fewer people and it takes a lot of time to do that. So instead, sort of talk to other people here, either in the chat or in Slack, and sort of gauge interest for if you have enough people to put together a team maybe. And then once you're in Slack, check out the business channel, and then you can @me and Harrison in order to basically pitch the idea to us so that we can approve your budget and get you all set up. So we're pretty much concluding the end of the presentation here. So here are some things that you should take care of. So there's a sign-up form. I believe the URL was put in the chat by Harrison, and then there's also a QR code in the bottom right of the screen. And so that'll take you to a Google form, and we're asking both returning and new members to fill out that form, just so we can get an accurate head count. Join Slack. Again, the link is in the comments, and there's a QR code, and that's pretty much how we communicate. So it's really important to join that if you're looking to join the club. And then a note about the onboarding projects. So actually, I don't think we shared the link here, but we'll put it in Slack. So you can find those online and get started. And then the very last thing here is join a project. So we introduced those 2 earlier. And then there's also sort of an open-ended question to see what ideas you guys have, and if you can come up with any groups that you want to get approved so that you can start spending money, let us know. So I'm going to close up the presentation here, and then I will open up some breakout rooms. Here. First, though, I have a quick poll just to see what project people are interested in. I'm also going to stop the meeting recording.